G'day and welcome to this special edition of The Box Seat. Yes, it is the Inter-Dominion special. For the next half an hour, we will be dissecting all of the big ones on Saturday night from Albion Park. Here's what's coming up. Coming up on The Box Seat, Greg O'Connor and Brittany Graham come to us live from Albion Park. We'll hear from Grant Dixon around his champion leap to fame. It's all about Gus in the Inter-Dominion trotting final. And stick around later on for the Box Seat Boost. All of that starts right now on the Box Seat. Yes, it'll be a quick fire show. I'm here by myself in the Christchurch studio because my normal friends that are in the studio with me are both in Queensland, and what a place that it is. Welcome to Greg O'Connor and Brittany Graham. Britt, to you first. It's been a heck of a series already, and Saturday night, looking through that card, it's certainly a stellar one.
Might even head to another level, Matt. Hello to you, and looking forward to the next half an hour as we do really break down this Inter-Dominion Grand Final night. You're right, the $1 million pacing final and the $500,000 trotting finals are pretty special races, but then add in the Derby, the Oaks, the Golden Girl on a 10-race card. It's going to be quite epic, I think.
Grego, history could be made. Well, a little bit of history in a way. The first mare for quite some time could win the Inter-Dominion in Captain's Mistress, and going on the draw, she looks a great chance. G'day to you.
Yeah, hi to you, Matthew, and of course, Brittany. Sorry about the background. It's pretty tough being over here in Queensland, but on Saturday night, this place is going to light up. Yes, barrier draw done and dusted, and so much talk now about how difficult it is going to be for Leap to Fame to be able to beat this mighty fine Kiwi mare. And let's not forget that Captain's Mistress. She might be in the Jason Grimson barn, but she has deep Kiwi ties. Can't wait for Saturday night.
Greg, how big would it be if Leap to Fame was able to do it again? You've been in amongst it. You obviously have a great relationship with the Dixons and Leap to Fame as a horse. What would it mean for Queenslanders to see him do it again?
Oh, I think it'd be incredible. You know, it'd be in rarefied air that's only been taken by our savants a lot. Obviously, Black's a fake, the local Kiwi hope, you know, and I'm the mighty Quip. So they've been three-time winners. Blackie obviously winning 4, but it'd be an incredible feat if he's able to do it. And it might have to be, Matthew, a career best performance. I think I've seen his 2 best career runs at Cambridge, like you, but he's going to have to come around the field, likely to sit outside this great mare, Captain's Mistress, and be able to beat him. And if he's able to do that, then I think the conversation about the greatest in my lifetime anyway ends there and then.
Britt, that's a pretty decent sort of quartet when you bring up the stats around the Inter-Dominion greats.
It sure is, Matt, and just proves how hard it is to win one Inter-Dominion, let alone 3 or 4, as has been achieved in the past. But I agree with Greg's assessment. This is going to have to be some sort of performance from Leap to Fame. Just noting as well that this year's grand finals are staged over 2,680 metres, not the 3,200 metres that they tracked over last year. Leap to Fame holds a track record for the distance that they're heading over on Saturday night. So that being set when he won a Black Fake a couple of years ago. And importantly, he did it from the parked position, which I think we're all believing he'll be in again this coming Saturday.
All right, he's going to have to do some work for this year's Inter-Dominion pacing final for sure, particularly with the way that the barrier draws have unfolded. We'll take a look at the market for you now. The bookies have deciphered a price around Leap to Fame, and they will remain him as the favourite even from the draw at $2.15. Captain's Mistress will start from barrier number 6. She has both of her stablemates drawn inside of her in Minos and Dangerous. Minos Jason Grimson will take the drive aboard it, and Cam Hart will stick with the Wonder Mare that she is Captain's Mistress at $2.40. Greg, to you first, are you surprised that he's still favourite Leap to Fame, or does he warrant that price?
Oh, I think just by sheer weight of people knowing exactly who he is, Matthew, and they'll come for him on the night, but they're very, very close market-wise, as you can see. Here he is. This is his head, don't forget. He's won, 30 of his last 31 here, and he's been building really nicely through the series. That's Max Delight, who is in an amazing fourth grand final, his fifth series, but he looked to be at somewhere near his peak at his latest performance. If he brings that on Saturday night and sits outside Captain's Mistress, I believe he's still the horse to beat. He loves Albion Park. He's won so many great races here, and I think he can win another one on Saturday night.
Brett, that was the most impressive run from him, particularly the last sort of 20 or 30 metres. It just looked as though he was just extending away from them. And a horse that sometimes, I don't want to say we've knocked him for not having that sort of high electric speed, but his splits recently, in terms of his last quarters that he's been able to run, would suggest that he's still at his career best.
I think that's a great point that you make, Matt, because he's been consistently dropping sub 27 closing fractions, which you can't get a whole lot quicker, can you? And one thing I will note about his performance on Saturday night was that he actually ran right through the line and right around the bend into the back straight. So he was very solid through the line. And speaking to Grant Dixon after the race, he mentioned that he felt that little bit sharper in round 2 than round 1. And that's one thing we know about Leap to Fame. He really relishes the racing, and he's likely to be another step better on Saturday night. Will that be the same for the mare? She's only raced 3 weeks in a row on one prior occasion. That's when she won the Chariots of Fire, a lead up to it, and then went around in the Miracle Mile. And I guess we didn't really get a good assessment on how she dealt with the backup because she never got a clear crack at them. So he's going to have to do something really special. But when it comes to the speed map, I think it's interesting because everyone's of the assumption that Captain's Mistress finds the lead, as am I. But there has to be a battle early on for her back, leader's back. So does that involve Tried to Tellia, Minos? Does Max Delight get involved? I think probably not, and Dangerous might be in the same boat. But does that mean that it takes Cam Hart 200 or 300 metres to find the fence? And does that then mean that Leap to Fame's on the scene really quickly thereafter? That's a scenario I'm working to.
Brett, can he sit outside her and beat her?
I think he can, but it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to have to be an inch-perfect drive from Grant Dixon. And I think much like we saw in his first race victory, he'll be on the scene as quickly as possible and there will be no opportunity for respite. I think it's going to be a case of everyone on their hands and knees at the top of the straight. They're all going to be all out. Every horse is going to get their opportunity, and it's going to come down to who is simply the strongest, because I think we're all of the opinion that maybe Captain's Mistress will definitely is the most brilliant and the fastest, but can she still be that version after having Leap to Fame sit outside her for the first 2,400 metres or so?
All right, Greg caught up with Grant Dixon yesterday in Queensland. Here's what he had to say.
Oh, look, we're really happy where he's at. So far, it's early in the week, but he's been good so far, but I think he'll have to be super good.
In terms of the build towards the final, you've been happy with his progress because you left a little couple of turns there, didn't you?
Yeah, look, I think, he weighted his belt week after week, just been a little better. So I think, he's going to be as close to spot on as we can have him, along the rest of it, just behind us.
Right, your initial thoughts around barrier draw wise, obviously you would have liked to have formed the front line and I suppose ultimately inside Captain's Mistress, but it's just going to make it that little bit more difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be particularly hard, I think. We're going to need it. Heat happen early just to hopefully she does a bit of work somewhere and then hopefully we can get up near her, sometime through the race and sort of try and make it more a bit of a staying fest.
Where are your confidence levels?
Oh, look, I'm never an overconfident person as it is, and probably sense of barrier draws probably a little less, but, Larry's become difficult before, so we've got a lot of bake in him, so I'm sure either way he'll run a big race, and whether that's, winning or, wherever he runs him through, he'll do himself proud.
He's been, in this case, a few times, Grant Dixon, around trying to work out how to beat other stellar horses during his career, and he's been able to pull it off. But you just sense that this Saturday night, it may well be his biggest test to date, particularly from the barrier draw. The one horse that the market is suggesting that he has to beat is Captain's Mistress, Greg, and she is just airborne at the moment. She's stabled there at Albion Park, so she doesn't have to travel far for what may well I know we're saying it's Leap to Fame's biggest test, but it's probably the same for her as well.
Oh, absolutely it is, Matthew, since joining the Grimson Barn. Just that one defeat in the Miracle Mile. Here he is winning. She's rather winning the Rising Sun. That's Marketplace, who we know so well, and the favourite for the Derby in third in Hollywood Strip. She broke the record held by Leap to Fame, worked her way to the front. I'm sort of with Britt. I just don't see her blazing to the lead. Cheers to Lou might be a factor as well, as he led from the outside gate, or tried to, in an extremely fast lead time in the race won by Minos of 34.5. And I asked Britt at the time, I've never heard a faster lead time here at Albion Park. So she'll work to the lead, but once she gets there, that's when Leap to Fame is going to be right on her helmet. Not a length back, Matthew. I think he will be eyeballing, very much like he did to Don Hugo in the race the first year. And if he does that, she'll know she's in a horse race.
Britt, is it an absolute shoo-in that they'll go forward with Captain's Mistress and lead? Is it just as simple as that, or do you think that Cam Hart has other options in the race?
Well, he certainly has options, Matt. She is so versatile, and probably one thing we know her best for is her electric speed. So does he surprise everyone and do something a little different? I'm not so sure, because I think they're very confident, the stable and connections, that they can park Leap to Fame and beat him. And that's how they've done so before with Swayze in a few big races. I know she's a very different horse to Swayze, but she's proven her toughness the last few weeks. They've always held her in extremely high regard, but even that Rising Sun performance took me by surprise, how easily she did it over the concluding stages. I guess Leap to Fame's wheelhouse is the long trip. The 2,680 metres is ideal for him. And you think, well, her high speed, does it suit her? But of course, she did win the Queen of the Pacific on Hunter Cup night earlier this year. And on that occasion, she went within a second of the time that Swayze and Leap to Fame recorded. So we know she can run the sectionals as well. It's just about whether or not she can do it with Leap to Fame setting the pace, not necessarily her.
Do you think as though it's a benefactor to her, Britt, with her passage to the final, maybe not being as taxing as some of the others?
It's interesting you say that, and I've seen a bit of commentary surrounding the fact that it's unfair or unjust that she hasn't been through the heat stages, but she has gone significantly quicker in winning the Rising Sun than any of the Inter-Dominion heats have. Of course, the fastest time ever run over 2,100 metres at Albion Park of 150.8. And the average for the heat so far for the pacing division have been around that mid 52 mark. So she's had to go faster than any other horse. Then she backed up last week and she was able to get away with a pretty sedate middle section, but she still ran the race from start to finish. So she still had to line up week to week, but I think it's probably a factor that she had that really tough run on night one, and what effect does that have on her? But as Greg's mentioned, as I've mentioned, I think Cam Hart will be of the opinion that he has to stay in front of one horse. That's Leap to Fame. And does that mean he can more so work to the lead slowly as opposed to blasting to the front like he's had to do the last couple of weeks? That's the camp that I'm in anyway.
Greg, Jason Grimson has a strong hand across the whole night, 3 and into Dominion final. Minos is a horse whom may well be 6 or 12 months away from being at his absolute peak, but you can't knock what he's done, and he's got a pretty nice draw as well.
Yeah, he was awesome on night one in defeat. Gee, went a great race. This time he was 3 wide on that hot lead time. Many expected him to get run down. There's Cheers to Lou having a crack at him late in the piece. But he held them off, and he's been a real surprise. He does have very good gate speed. Most of the chat coming out of the Grimson barn is he leaves the machine that fast. They will be in front and waiting for the mare. And he thinks that half a chance Minos could be able to run her down. I'm not totally convinced of that. And, of course, he sits in a position, Jason Grimson, to train 3 Inter-Dominion winners at just the age of 32, which is quite remarkable, and 3 different horses, Matthew.
Brett, what do you make of Minos and the other stablemate, Dangerous, as well?
I think in Minos's case, Matt, he's a son of Bettor's Delight, and we've just had the impression from the 2 heats so far that he's going to relish the staying distance of the final. He's so tough, and he just continues to battle away at the same speed. So if he does manage to find the fence, which I expect him to, I also expect Tried to Tell You to sort of kick up in between he and War Damn Buddy early on, but eventually he'll roll to the top, and I think he'll be holding for one horse and one horse only, that being Captain's Mistress. But everyone is thinking the leader's back position is going to be golden. So how much of a battle he has on his hands to find that spot remains to be seen. But I think he's really going to suit the hustle bustle nature of this year's Inter Dominion. And in Dangerous's case, I probably thought he was a fraction unders for mine. Judging by driver engagements and the like, he's the third stringer for the Grimson Barn, which the market reflects, but he's not electric off the gate. And I just thought the draw was slightly precarious for him. I'm not too sure where he gets to. We saw on night one, when he got back and in the ruck, he wasn't able to make an impression despite running some really good sectionals. He was super on night two, but I'm just not sure that he has a positive map.
All right, time now for your selections. Brett, you first. Is it a case of it being a two-horse race, or is there room for an upset?
I really struggled to find an upset unfolding, Matt. And even if you look to horses who are going to be getting those cosy fence trips, are they able to capitalise after chasing what is going to be a frenetic tempo there on Saturday night? I expect another track record to be broken. And for that reason, I think Leap to Fame can set the benchmark once more. Yes, it's going to be incredibly hard for him, but Grant Dixon will drive him like the best horse in the race, like he's done so many times. He won't be waiting for next week. He'll be getting through the pack as quick as he can early on and making this into a survival of the fittest. Captain's Mistress will run an incredible race. She's an incredible horse, but this is a massive task. We have to remember she's not only a mare, but she's a 4-year-old mare. Her first real preparation in this kind of company. It's an incredible task for her to beat what many are assuming, or many are expecting to be one of our greatest, if not our greatest of all time. If Minos is leader's back, then he's a great trifecta first foreplay. And War Damn Buddy, for me, maybe he lacks the class of his top rivals, but he's been quite good through the series so far from second row draws. And even if he is 3-4 fence, he's going to get his opportunity. And I think that he's a first 4 fringe player.
It's been a while, Greg, since the mares won the Inter Dominion pacing final. Are you in her camp, Captain's Mistress, or are you going to stick with the tried and true?
Tried and true. I think he can win again, Leap to Fame. You've got to go back to Jodie's Babe to find Mia winning the final. Look, I just think that he is in this is his house. This is where he does his best work. He's unbelievable here at Albion Park. He's unbelievable anywhere he goes, and I think we'll find it'll be win number 73 for him over this very, very good 4-year-old and Captain's Mistress, giving a good chance to Minos for the reasons that everyone thinks will happen. He'll end up on the markers and get a great run. And the fairy tale story of the race would be Max Delight. Drive of the series thus far, Will Rickson getting the horse to the front and then the trail behind Leap to Fame. He can drive a special again, and if he is even able to place in this grand final, what a remarkable effort by David Aiken and his team.
73 wins. He is just different gravy, isn't he? Leap to Fame. Well, we've gone pacing here on the box seat, brought to you by Bricken Farms. We'll go trotting after this short break.
Metres to go. It's Gus for the Sunshine State. The Dominion's all over. He runs clear. Gus by 3 lengths.
My little heart to give, baby. I want to give you the world.
Gus in front. Muscle Mountain runs a big race. Gus leads Muscle Mountain and Oscar Bonavina. Gus still in front. Muscle Mountain having one crack. Gus, it's the Dominion free-for-all double for the Queenslander.
'Cause I think I'm getting closer.
Well, he's a great horse, Gus, and he's looking to add to his impeccable record already. It's been a stellar 12 months, including 2 of our very best here in New Zealand, the Group 1 Dominion Trot and the Group 1 New Zealand Trotting Free-for-all. He's won 8 from 20. Here's the market for the final for the Trotters on Saturday. He is the current favourite. He was beaten into 4th in his second heat. He's $1.45 into $1.40. Rocking with Attitude is an $8 chance. RC Phoenix, one draw they probably didn't want, at $10, and I'm Bobby, drawn that inside at $10. Britt, he's $1.40. He was beaten last start, went into fourth position. What was the wash-up of that? Because most punters and the market expected him to win.
They did, and they would have been disappointed with the result from a financial point of view, but I really just don't know what more he could have done. There's been a real air of disappointment around his performance, but when you consider the sectionals of the race and the way that he had to sprint from about the 800 metre mark at 26.8 third quarter, that's not sustainable for 800 metres. He still clocked 54 and 5 his own closing half. Probably the one slightly concerning part was maybe his last 50 metres. But in saying that, I think Pete McMullen was fully aware that fourth was the best position possible for him, and he tried to maybe conserve a fraction of energy for next week. I think he's going to be really peaking on Saturday night. He was superb night one. Maybe that took the shine off him on night two marginally, but it's a perfect barrier draw for him of two. It gives Pete McMullen all of the options, and I expect him to draw on his versatility. We saw him, Matt, come with that wide sweeping run to win the Dominion. He can be driven that way, or if the circumstances permit, he can be put into the contest. I just think it's a perfect setup. Too short, $1.40 in what is a pretty deep into Dominion field, all things considered. But he's the horse to beat. He has all of the cards in his favour.
Greg, Rockham with Attitude could be the cat amongst the pigeons early, seemingly a horse who would have a lot of respect, particularly with the gate speed.
Yeah, absolutely, Matthew, and we're going to show you that here. This is night one. Have a look how quickly she gets off the machine, and David Miles will be doing exactly this. She'll be in front for sure. I'm Bobby will go early, but not as fast as Rockin' with Attitude, and that spot behind Gus, who I think will eventually work to the lead, very much like Leap to Fame. This is his house. If he's in front a lap out, I think we'll all know the Inter-Dominion trotting winner of 2026.
All right, he finds the front. Britt, is it as easy as running one for you if Gus gets there?
And even if he doesn't, Matt, as mentioned, just the versatility on his side, I think he's a horse they all have to beat. No, I wasn't disappointed in his effort on Saturday night, and therefore he's certainly the horse to run down. In regards to, I guess, if you're looking for some value, I do think I'm Bobby is a value play, if not top two, top three, and maybe a 1-by-3 basis, just in case things don't go to plan for Gus, because even from a 3-fence position, I guess best case scenario, leaders back on Rockin' with Attitude, but even 3-fence is not a bad spot to be. RC Phoenix has been really good throughout this series, but I just struggle to see a scenario where the barrier draw could be anywhere possible positive for him, and certainly Rockin' with Attitude has a part to play, albeit it's the first time she'll head over 2,600 metres in her racing career to date on Saturday night, and Inter Dominion is probably not an easy way to find out if you're going to stay the trip.
Greg, Chris Finozio and the team would have been gutted when the draws came out for RC Phoenix.
Yeah, absolutely, and for Love Me Too for that matter. It was great to have Graham Rogerson on track along with the Butterworths to see that former Northern Derby trotting winner get the job done. But yeah, look, second row draw with your main rival drawn in a beautiful position. He's a very, very good horse. For us to get 3 into the Inter final is remarkable. Of course, got feelings, wasn't expected to be a major factor, but with the barrier draws through the 2 heats of one, he certainly did that in the hands of Angus Garrard, and comes up with a pretty good barrier draw again in barrier 3 for the final.
Brett, in terms of playing a top 4, the $1.40 might be a little bit too short for some punters. You've suggested maybe a place play around I'm Bobby. What's your top 4 for the trotting final?
Well, he picks himself, Gus, but yes, as I've mentioned, he's too short. I think any horse at those sort of odds in an Inter-Dominion Grand Final is too short, but I can understand why he is due to him being in such a positive setup. I'm Bobby, the major danger for mine. He's been well handled through this series by Will Rix, and he hasn't had tough runs. Rockin' with Attitude, the most likely early leader for mine, although there are a few that do possess good speed around her. I've got feelings, has sound gate speed. Toro Stride drawn to her outside is a real flyer, but she's very fast. I think that she'll be finding the front and probably only handing up to one horse, that being Gus. And RC Phoenix, under most scenarios, I see making a mid-race move to sit outside of the leader. And from that position, it's going to be really tough for him, but he can certainly battle on into some minor money, the defending champion.
Greg, one family who I know will be perched up down in Southland, tuned in, is the Williamson family. Nathan Williamson playing a huge role in the progression of both Gus and Captain's Mistress, and he'd be a royal chance of cheering both of those horses home on Saturday night.
Yeah, well put, Matthew, and an incredible effort by Nate, the developer of both of these horses. I've got him on top. It's very, very difficult not to see him winning if everything pans out nicely for Chantal Turpin and Pete McMullen. I see Rockin' With Attitude being in the perfect spot off the gate in the trail. We know the markers are gold here. That gives Iron Bobby a top 4 chance. And RC Phoenix, the story, having not won a race since winning the Inter-Dominion final to win that heat during the series, back in form and a confident horse, but it's going to be difficult to come wide. But yeah, it's Gus's race to lose for mine.
Greg, is there one other horse or race you're looking forward to there on Saturday night?
Yeah, the Derby. I think Hollywood Strip. Third place in a Rising Sun, very similar to what Leap to Fame did on his progression. I'm not saying he's in that same category, but he's a mean horse, Hollywood Strip. So can't wait to see him from a pretty positive draw.
All right, what about for you, Britt? Is there something else we can follow on the program?
I agree with Greg around Hollywood Strip. I think his performance in the Rising Sun was quite phenomenal. Looking forward to seeing what he can do stepping out in over 2,600 metres. The Golden Girl for mine is an interest race. I keep smiling, looking to win it again. She just cannot buy a barrier draw. She'll have to do it from the outside of the front row and do a mountain of work once more. I thought Luxa Turner represented some value in that contest, around $7 for her. She was a little unlucky last week and she has the coveted inside draw. So she looks to be a bit of a standout on value on Saturday night's card.
Wouldn't be a box seat without the box seat boost. Grego, have you got something for us?
Betcha Ben. I had a crack at him and said, give us something. Give our fans something. He's given us something, all right. $3 for Leap to Fame. Up to $100 maximum bet. I can't remember the last time he paid anywhere near $3 market-wise. Please bet responsibly, but if you love Larry like we do, let's go with him.
Brett, $3 around Leap to Fame. I'm sure there's plenty of punters who will be pretty chuffed with that.
Well, it might be the last opportunity in his career, Matt, that we get anywhere near $3 for him. Remembering, of course, he did win a Miracle Mile, his first Miracle Mile, when he wasn't favoured. On that occasion, everyone said it was the impossible. He had to recreate history. Well, I think he can on Saturday night, and it wouldn't surprise me if he still started favourite despite all of this chatter because of his fans that want to get in behind him. And for those in New Zealand, $3, I think that's a pretty nice price to get in behind him too.
Speaking of New Zealand, we're looking forward to having you both back home very shortly. Greg and Brett will be on track there on Saturday night from Albion Park, and next week they'll be back here at home and they'll be diving into Friday Night Lights. With Brecon Farms, that has been your box seat into Dominion special. Have a go at that $3 around Leap to Fame, tab.co.nz.